the eyes wanted was please pull me aside at the end and we'll make sure that's my light way to do that. Okay. Guys, thank you so much for coming out tonight. It is extremely cold, and I'm glad you're here. So, my name is Daniel Point. I'm from West 40, and I'm going to tell you just a little bit about myself and a little bit about West 40, and mostly talk through this thing about what it is to raise kids today, some of that experience. So, thank you for coming out again. I want to tell you more about the place I work for than myself. I have the opportunity to serve for the last 5 years West 40. West 40 is our regional office of education, ISC number 2. We have this opportunity to serve 152 buildings in West Cook County. It is a job that I'm extremely grateful for. I get to train teachers, administrators, paraprofessionals. And tonight when I thought about this presentation, I do this for a living and I'm so nervous. And I'm nervous because I get to sort of lean in on the crutch of education, the shared language that educators have in common and all of that stuff. And I don't know the backgrounds you bring tonight or how, whether you're grandparents, children, no children, here tonight to sort of figure out kids today. So thought we'd talk just a little bit about sort of that common ground. West 40 is an incredible organization, and happy to do this for them. And then a lot of times people will ask me sort of, this was actually at a superintendent's academy I took, and they said, show pictures, teach people where you work through pictures. No one cares about this. So, moving on. Moving on. This is what folks care about. So I'm going to make all this make sense in a few minutes, I promise. First picture is my daughter Ella. Those two pictures are 10 years apart this summer. Her heading off to the university to play flag football. She had a big signing day. It was a really incredible experience. I don't know how that happened, but it happened. She's in Kentucky right now. They won their first 2 tournaments. She's got a ring bigger than her head. Cool kid, really cool kid. There's my other cool kid. He's right next to her there. He works at John Lee School, one of our West 40 districts. He works as a paraprofessional. He works in a K-4 behavior classroom. I'm going to tell you just a quick story about both of these kids. So, Luke William, I took him to community college for a year. This was about 2 years ago. Graduated graduated high school. I drove him out to Oakton every day. Anybody familiar with Oakton Community College? It's a beautiful campus. I did my day job where I did this, and on the way before I did this, I drove him and then I picked him up. And I did this every day. About a year. Last day I picked him up, he said, Dad, I failed everything. Professional educator, what do you do? All I knew to do was get him a car, a paraprofessional license, and some good training. His mom and I were both special ed teachers. And he's a natural with kids. 2 years later, he's walking around with his chest held high. And so this is a small recruitment. If you have any free time in your day, find your local school and sign up to be a paraprofessional. Okay, there's Meg. So that's Luke, and that's my daughter Ella. And most people really don't care about what my credentials were, but I sort of throw that in there. 20 years as a special education behavior teacher at the high school setting, 10 years as an administrator, either in department chair of special education, director of special education, MTSS. A lot of titles that folks probably won't connect with if you're not in education. And then had the wonderful opportunity to come work for the local ISC and support a whole bunch of schools. In our time today, I'm going to make why I shared my kids with you in just a second make sense. But I'm going to ask If there are any norms that you can't agree to or can, just sort of let me know. Today I'm going to ask you to just sort of be flexible. I'm going to move you around a little bit, sort of engage in the process. I sort of don't, I worked in a high school with kids who had behavioral challenges. There was no way I could sit here and talk for an hour and a half and keep their attention. So the same thing applies with almost any human being. I'm going to sort of move you around a little bit. Are we okay with that? You're okay? All right, if you're, again, if you need to, please stay seated in terms of the time we move around. Okay, 19% of working adults in America, 19% are reporting an anxiety disorder. And anxiety disorders are funky business, right? It's hard to sort of tell. And I want you to know that anxiety disorder typically is not, do I have money to pay the bills? Is my car gonna work? Is my husband a monster? Yes. Are my kids gonna do well at school? Day-to-day stressors. Anxiety disorder shows up clinically and typically as ruminating negative, intrusive thoughts. When I don't want it, I hear it. I'm not enough. Whatever sort of version that takes. 19 out of 100 people in a room. When I think about a school and I go into, there's 200 people in that room, I'm going, there's 40 people in this room that really need me to be thoughtful. Please today, no self-doubt, no judgment. Any of the work that we do, please, you're in a safe space. And then lastly, if something that hits home, feels good, feel free to respond, jump into the process, okay? All right. I'm going to ask you first to take a look around the room. These are going to be sort of some of your participants tonight. You might even want to say hi to everyone. Hey, how you doing? I'll take a second to say hello. You might want to say hello to your neighbor. So I'll take just a second to do that. Hi, David LaPointe. Nice to see you. Hi, everyone. Very nice to meet you. Thank you again for coming. It's cold out there tonight.
It's the first baby that I took.
Feel okay with your shoulder partner next to you? All right, that's going to be your buddy for tonight, so thank you, shoulder partner. Getting in this activity, I'm going to ask you, and then I promise I'll put a bow on this. We all carry stories of who we are on us. I'm going to ask you to engage in this activity: wallet, purse, pocket, or person. So just take a second, take a look either in your wallet, in your purse, in your pockets, or on your person. On your person could be a scar, a tattoo, your glasses, a lanyard, any of those things that tell a story about you that you would love to share. For me, the first one, I'll just really quickly to model this for you, is my earring. 19 years old at Wright Community College, and the girl I really liked had a needle and an ice cube. And I thought, what a great idea this is. At the end of that, I had to put in an earring, and Michael Jordan's hoop is what I went with, right? Chicago guy who came from nothing. And the part about Jordan that a lot of people don't know, his mom made him. If it wasn't for mom, there's no Jordan. And I see some moms in the room. Maybe. All right, so gang, share with your shoulder partner a story. I'd love for you to do that if you wouldn't mind. I'll come around and engage.
Graduating out of college, working about, and so what about you? Did something called oh my God.
And I just noticed your especially, I really I think what came to mind is in your pocket. I love my dog. I was just walking through them. I just and I know. Well, I do this sort of thing. And I
think most people say that, and yeah, I can still start the magic.
and when I found my I was thinking about left.
Yeah, that's
That makes me think of my dogs anyways, yes, I love my dogs. I love walking with them. I feel almost strange when I just walk on my own. Yes, yes, oh, heck yes, 100% yes, I know, I was such a bird, but I needed to be sure. And then you know, I had to let it out. I was like, yeah.
30 seconds more, finish up your conversation, just about 30 seconds.
the student around me is probably
When I taught in a behavior disorder classroom at the high school level, sometimes I did some tricks to get people's attention back. Sometimes I would do, okay, finish up in about 30 seconds. And then, as a good teacher, you're supposed to count down the time, you know? Okay, 5 and 4 and 3. And then, of course, so it's high school behavior, so I really got good at fractions. And a half, and 16. I never wanted to lose the game. That's also a fun activity because you get to sort of hear each other. Is there anybody in the room that would feel comfortable sharing the story they shared? And that's okay if you do, don't. I know I have one volunteer in the back.
Sure, I can share mine.
Yay!
I was also talking about my jewelry. It's just gold jewelry from Amazon. However, my mom and I both love gold jewelry, so whatever I get, I'll just get her the same thing because she wants it, and whatever she gets, she'll just get me the same pair. So, yeah, you'll catch us sometimes wearing the same earrings, but we just love gold jewelry. So, yeah.
Thank you for sharing. I'm giving a big snap up. Anybody else have a story that's sort of front and center?
I'll share.
Thank you.
I was just telling my group here that I actually don't mind being the funny one in a group, just to be an icebreaker. So I don't mind being the joke. When I introduce myself, I have the opportunity, I say to people that I meet Scarface with a number of scars on his face. I have 3. If you're all interested in knowing why, I'll tell you, but I do have 3 scars on my face.
Okay, well, as somebody who worked with you, just so you know, I didn't ever notice that. Okay.
Exactly.
So when we work in sort of, could you imagine, by the way, doing this with a room full of 200 educators? Lots of times educators, we focus them so much on the next initiative, the reading stuff, the new math, and to give them time to just sort of see each other and build a community. That was sort of my goal here. I want to share with you that we don't have one brain. I wish we did. It'd be so much easier. We have 3. We have what's called the tri-tune model of a brain. So at the base of your brain is this reptilian brain. It really is exactly how it sounds. Have you ever looked in a snake's eyes and tried to reason with it? Doesn't really do so well with it. If you could imagine the fight you had with somebody you love that lasted over 5 minutes, where you were yelling back and forth, right? We're not sort of all free from sin. Nobody hurt each other in that argument because you were a reptilian brain. It shuts down. So there are 5. Ready? Fight, flight, freeze, fawn, or flop. We added a few F's since COVID. I've added my own, thank you. And on top of the reptilian brain is the limbic system. So we decide whether we're safe or not. A lot of stuff from the learning perspective happens in the limbic system, but this also tells me if I'm safe or not. And sort of a quick hint, language is only 7 to 9% to how we communicate. So we're reading a lot of nonverbal cues to see if we're safe or not, okay? If we're safe, I can get to the cortex. As an educator, as a human being, as anybody working with somebody else that wants to pass on your information, if they don't feel safe, they won't learn. Okay. So, do you know something about the people around you didn't before? And may I put my 3 in the middle on the spot? You work together, yes? And you work closely together. You know something about each other.
Sometimes. No, I'm just kidding.
Spoken like 3 who work too close together. Was there some laughter in the room? There was some laughter. Okay, 5 of the 10 leading causes of death. I just want to say this again. This is an American statistic. 5 of the leading 10 causes of death are stress related. Cortisol is a monster. Cortisol causes inflammation. I always get to say this in a room full of educators because they're all young now, so I'm still going to do it. If you're as old as me, you've taken steroids a time or 2. Steroids' only purpose that it has is to block cortisol production. That's all it does. Heart inflammation, cortisol, lung inflammation, joint inflammation, inflammation. You could name the spot with inflammation. Cortisol's there. Cortisol is stress. When I was working as a school administrator, when I had 17 buildings at one time, and most of my job was trauma related, I was probably 50 pounds heavier than I am right now. All stress, all cortisol. It wasn't even bad eating. It was I eat the exact same way I do now. Stress finds a way to find inflammation. So, laughter, human connection, dopamine, oxytocin, endorphin, and serotonin, all ways to do that. Dopamine is exactly what it sounds like. We use the term dope or drugs, but it really is this sort of really powerful punch to the face. We're looking for dopamine hits. Let me give you a perfect example. Did you post a picture of your family recently for the holidays on any social media link? Anybody do that sort of recently? And then did you look to see if other people had hit your post? And do you check back your social media accounts to see who liked your stuff? Jimmy liked my post? Oh, we're going for dopamine hits. Let me give you a baseline sort of example, and I'm going to use illegal drugs to help you understand how dopamine works. Let's say dopamine is at a baseline of 100, okay? Coffee, cigarettes, nicotine, put you at about 150 to 200. Normal dopamine, normal just day-to-day feel good, get a hug from somebody, 100. Coffee, nicotine, 150, 200, somewhere in that range, right? Cocaine, 350. When we think about the problems that we deal with meth addiction, 1,500. It almost takes the dopamine to a place that you can't wire back from. We're hooked on our dopamine. We like our hits of dopamine. Please.
Where's sugar?
You know what, for me, that's about 300 if you haven't noticed. Again, those are, I would put in the normal day-to-day, so I would put that in the 100 range, just sort of regular good stuff that gives us a regular dopamine. And so our kids are doing the same thing. They're looking for dopamine hits off of Facebook. Well, they don't use Facebook. Us boomers use Facebook. But, we'll talk just a little bit more about that. Okay, such a weird thing to say. I love oxytocin. It's the love hormone, but I really love oxytocin. Anybody have children in the room? First time that a mother and a baby meet each other in that sacred embrace, that first one. They've done studies on this. Oxytocin floods the baby, and oxytocin floods the mother. In that exchange, the oxytocin puts the heart rates, the breathing, the emotional connection in the same space. Baby and heart rate go to the same, breathing moves in the same, the rhythms through oxytocin, the connection. And we do that all the time. And then endorphins, again. When you were connecting with somebody and sort of sharing your story and hearing theirs and laughing, you might have had an arthritic elbow. You didn't feel it during that time. It gets you out of some of that. These are brain hacks. So at West 40, we teach educators and principals how to sort of use these tools to both regulate themselves and their kids. If I can't get you in the blue, if I can't get a kid in the blue, I'm not teaching anybody anything. A scared kid will not learn. Give you a perfect sort of example of some of the training that may have come from our primary caregivers that we carry over that doesn't make sense. I'll give you a perfect example. Anybody here when they were growing up, look at me when I'm yelling at you. Look at me when I'm making your life miserable. That's actually against all brain science that we know. You drive a car and you see a dead animal at the side of the road and that sort of doesn't make you feel good. If that's you, you look away from it. Scary movies, anybody a scary movie fan here? I don't like scary movies, and when I watch them like this the whole time. Right? And so some of the behaviors that we've been trained to do are opposite of brain science. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about that this evening. I couldn't make you feel safe with me if you didn't see the picture of my kids. I just couldn't. None of the titles, none of the degrees. I got a lot of them, and it doesn't matter. Anybody go to an open house of their kids? Or parent-teacher conferences? You went to hear the curriculum and the grading policy, didn't you? Yeah, absolutely. You went to see the whites of their eyes and to make sure, even if you didn't like them, that happens from school to school year, that you trusted them. That's it. So that was sort of the same thing that I try to do quickly with me, and just with the picture of my kids, and then with the people in the room, right? If we can reduce some of the anxiety, everybody around you is just human beings like the rest of us. So that's sort of what I wanted to talk a little bit tonight about with kids, is this idea of emotional safety. From the child perspective, I'm I'm not going to get shamed or shunned. You will love me even in my worst mistake. So I'm going to ask you just again in your area, in your table partner, when your babies give you their confessions, whether it's now, whether you can remember back, where'd they do that? I'm going to tell you mine, and then I'll just ask you to think about it for a second. My kids did it. They told me all their secrets when I was driving, and they were in the back seat. Oh yeah? You know, you can't get to them real quick. They know that. You're working a vehicle, you have to really process and regulate. Whether they knew it or not, they knew enough about you to know that this is regulation time. You're going to have to take a second to breathe through this. Anybody have that experience? Yes, they told you their secrets in the back of it? Yeah, it's okay. How about tucking them in at night? They're warm, they're safe, they're soft. You love them, give them a little kiss, bedtime story, and then all of a sudden, and I punch Stevie in the face. Right at the end, that's when they do that. Or, how about when your sister's over, her favorite aunt, and that's when they spill their guts because they got an advocate. Just take a second. When did that happen for you? Is there something outside of this that I missed? When do they need to be safe to tell you their stories? We'll unpack that a little bit.
It wasn't necessarily,
Did that come back to your mind? Did that experience show up for you? Anything outside of those things
it is definitely when they get to
I think when I was working with them, I was embarrassed or just shy or maybe someone just safe.
Yes.
Like most of the time,
like different relationships, one parent. About good things.
And it sounds like
Our students should be teaching, like they know what they can talk to you about. Yeah, hold yourself fine. Like we can like sexuality in that space. You know, so like that's why I do think in the way that maybe the caregiver is that is physically regulated. You can't look at the eyes. Like the last 5 minutes. You're there behind you. So you just have to like, I'm ready. Listen, we got it. It's so weird. Like after an hour and a half.
yeah.
5 minutes later, starts telling me
Telling you
everything.
everything.
Okay, so you get all this time. It's almost like pulling teeth with her. I continue to bring that so that you know, one of the toughest characters I had, which is I'm afraid. Yeah, I just felt like one of the
I just am remembering.
it's pretty reserved. So like, how do you, and this is a like a lot of when like showing off, without being like try.
To share that with you, and it sounds like towards the end. Yeah, she might have been waiting or not quite sure she wanted to say it, but it sounds like she was saying how
Yeah, they were close
so you're providing something as well.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
said that, I'm like, I've heard a story from that. Yes.
Did anybody come up with the phone when you were on the phone?
Oh,
They loved to get you when you're distracted. Again, this isn't sort of, us having that really deep, meaningful conversation. That's all of a sudden out of nowhere, they hit you with a left punch and told you something. Our group over here, time of day, we talked a lot about that, like, you want to share the 2 in the morning?
Well, it's just that, but they not necessarily know that you're going to be available, or just there's something about the night, late at night.
Yeah.
Sort of invites that
Yes.
kind of connection.
Yes.
My son in the morning, my daughter in the morning, they're both monsters. They don't want to talk. My son after work, a minute I see him, hey Dad, let me tell you a picture. They're like 2 different human beings. We'll talk a little bit about that. And thank you for sharing again with each other. So cultures change. We've got, as a matter of fact, in the workplace now, we're looking at 5 generations all working together. So we've got, and we're on trajectory, but right now 20% are under 19 and 20% of our workforce is over 65. It's a really interesting time to be in the workspace. Lots of generations coming together. Again, we could have different generations of kids in the room, but what I would ask you to consider and what I ask teachers to consider is to leverage the culture. So, Native American reservation, I'm working with the Hopi tribe. It is my first job. I've done my student teaching there and I got a behavior disorder classroom. So excited. I'm going to bring you back for a second. Do you all remember beepers?
Mm-hmm.
So the beeper that I had was a beeper on one side, and on the other side, it, a level with like the bubbles?
Mm-hmm.
I had a bubble, so that if I was taken off my feet, the bubble would move and the alarms would go off and they would send people to me. So I'm explaining to you where my first job was and how things work. And I really connected with the kids and the culture, and I learned a lot. Again, I'm a product of a whole bunch of kids teaching me and not the other way around, I often think. So I had to be keenly aware of culture on the reservation. And I'll give you a couple of easy experiences. One, here's how I walk around. My college nickname was Permigran. Those who work with me probably know. I don't even know I'm doing it. Just, I'm so happy. I woke up this morning. All right, so in the Hopi tribe, in their culture, it's actually disingenuous to smile unless there's a reason. I got in trouble a lot. So I had to learn culture there. Culture isn't just about sort of your identity. You know that identities of your children you're helping to shape and bring those cultures to life. But there's this whole other identity of culture. When did you get your first cell phone? Anybody want to share how around the age they got their first cell phone?
16.
16.
50.
Awesome. The average age today is 7 years old. It's a curse and a blessing. As a parent who had to sometimes be at work when my kids got home, there was Life 360 on there.
Yeah.
I tracked them. I was the KGB, the CIA, I was watching everything they did. There are benefits and there are negatives. So our kids are, if you are 20 years old right now, you are an experiment. You are a social media experiment. We did a lot of stuff to you, unregulated, and we don't really know what the results are going to be. I want to show just a couple of things as you leverage their culture. So I'm on the Native American reservation, and there's a detention teacher. She's in her 60s, and she's incredible. If you got thrown out of a behavior school, like to be sent. So the teachers that worked in the behavior class was incredibly skilled, compassionate, and for them to actually send you to a different space, it's unusual, and it had to be something pretty dramatic. And she worked that space. Unbelievable. She was incredible. I was so eager to learn what she knew. What are you doing? Teach me something. First thing she said, well, I have to tell you, do you listen to their music? I guess, maybe, yeah. I was pretty close to their age, so she said, okay, as you continue your educational journey, don't stop. I had a teacher when I was a kid, and my parents were telling me that Elvis was the devil. Elvis was the devil. He was moving his hips. There was all kinds of stuff. And I wasn't allowed to listen to him on my own. And I came to school and I talked to my teacher about Elvis. And we went on for hours about how he was using Afro-American beats. And she said, leverage what they love. Ready? I'm going to do this. It's going to make you nuts. No, I don't do it myself. I'll let them do it. Hold on. You won't need to really experience it. Local basketball game, they're filming. There's a dance move. As a teacher, if you don't know what that is, you're lost. And if you do know what that is, you're probably unhappy. There's lots of rules about that 6-7 going on. So I invite you to do a couple of things. Think about how this will show up in your life, and it's going to push you a little bit. What are they watching? There was a show on that my kids were watching called Euphoria. They were teenagers, and this show was about addiction, abandonment, being a teenager, and they were getting sort of their view of the world from this box in our home, right? I actually paid for something to do that to their heads. I felt a little guilty in that. But there's conversation, I can't turn it off. They're going to talk about it with their friends. They're going to pick up this thing that you get at 7, and they're going to log in, and they have all kinds of ways to figure out what you figure out. They're going to bypass it. I don't care what controls you have. They'll figure out a way around it. That I promise you. So try to figure out what they're watching, what they're listening to. Who loves rap music? Raise your hand if you love rap music. I do very much. So we have 4 of us in here. If you have children that love rap music, it may burn your ears. I just want you to know. What does it mean when they say blow trees? That's hip hop language for smoking marijuana. We blow trees, y'all. How would I know that if I wasn't engaged with what they're listening to? I remember I showed up at a school for one event where it was wear your favorite meme shirt. I didn't know what a meme was because it was, I just didn't know. So then I had to be taught what a meme was, and I figured it out. The Rock, you guys remember when The Rock had the black pants? That was the meme. Anyway, that was my big one. And then I would ask you to let them teach you something about the culture that they love. They're deep immersed in a culture, a digital culture, a music culture, a video culture that's uniquely to their age, to their brand. How many of you can go 24 hours with this without it? I'd love for you to just raise your hand if you could. I can't. 2, we have 2 in the room. As a matter of fact, this is for our teenagers from 23, 24. 96% use it daily. Again, there's more computing power right here than it took to land the Apollo shuttle. That freaks me out sometimes. 46% of us, almost constantly. 11% problematic. I'm in the problematic category. Absolutely, absolutely. Hold on, wait a second. Let me just. Our kids aren't free of this. Our kids are not free of this. So the conversations at the dinner table, when you put down the phone, they'll put down the phone. But if you got the phone at the table, if you got the phone while you're together, they're going to have that phone too. Things to think about. All right, I'm going to mess with you with this phone for a second. So I'm going to help you understand what happened to this social experiment that are our children from 20 and under. Okay? Do my best anyway. So I'm going to ask you, I'll just ask you to get up, not yet, but in a second. I'll put 4 pictures on the screen. You can come to this corner for the picture, that corner picture. There'll be 4 pictures, 4 corners of the room. This one's a little different. I'm going to ask you to, I'm going to show you 4 pictures, and then I'm going to ask you to go to the corner of the thing that you don't like. 4 pictures. I want you to hone in on the thing that you don't like. And again, you feel free to sit, stand, however you all need to sort of navigate. All right? And we'll work out the corners together, because I always get confused. Sorry. Okay. So, am I right in saying the back of the room there would be the paintbrush? Or would the paintbrush be? All right, paintbrush. Again, I get confused. Sorry. Paintbrush here, scale back there, drill back there, and measuring cup right here to bake, to cook. I'm going to go right to the scale. So, okay, just help yourself to. And then when you're in that corner, talk about sort of what the theme was. Why don't you like that thing? It hurts my feelings. That's all I want to say. It hurts my feelings. Are we good? Is that sort of? It's just a horrible liar. That's fine. Great.
Yes.
We're at the
Grill, yeah.
I know, I was gonna say, out of all those 3 things, that's the
No,
thing I
it just
use,
moves too fast and then
and I was like, I love to, I love to, and I like to build on.
Honestly, I think it's just too much of a session culture.
Just have to really stick.
I agree.
Just always drumming out, good to go.
I
man.
agree.
Limits my creativity,
I love
my
that.
freedom.
I love that. You're just cooking with spices. You're like Mario. Bam! And sure, paintbrush.
That's kind of obsessed.
I can never get them clean enough to be used.
I need to get.
And I always have to spend a lot of money.
Yeah.
Just throw them out, get a new one.
Yeah.
Yeah, those curtains are like $12.
Yes.
No, I don't have a problem with any of that.
Yeah.
If you have a dislike any one of them,
That's why I don't have to, because I was like, otherwise I would get on it. and
You're okay.
I
I'm just, I like build, I like to paint,
Scale.
scale,
Yeah.
cooking, so I don't know.
do you need a best friend? Do I'm shortcomings all here. I could use one.
No.
Thank you.
Yeah. Totally.
Look, I'm proving my point. I love this.
We'll ask which one.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
First of all, back there, we all know why I hate that thing. Chris, brushes. Chris, we can't get them clean. Like, you ever try to wash and brush and get it clean? It just never seems clean. Heidi shared the image of creativity. I would love to watch her cook when she said that.
I
Like,
don't cook.
but if you did, there's gotta be spices just flowing in our back to drill.
We were just talking about like how the screws kind of fly around and you feel like you're not in control when you have a drill, electric drill.
Power tool, that's a lot of power
A lot of
sometimes.
damage.
A lot of damage. All right, I'm gonna do this one more time,
Okay.
and I promise I'll make it make sense. All right, now if you're the person who either hates all of these things or loves all of these things, feel free to just go sit. Here we go. So, this, is it back here? Again, I do this confused. Cat here,
Chicken cat.
the chicken cat.
You guys staying
Back there is the rat. I'm sorry, the gerbil or the hamster is the rat. Back there is the snake.
I don't understand.
Birds.
Is this what we love?
No, the one you dislike. If there's anything you dislike, if you love them all, please feel free to I get that a lot with this activity. By the way, I'm curious, are you love them all or hate them all?
Yeah.
Love them all?
Love them all.
Oh, you guys.
If that was really a rat, I'd be off that corner, but it's not really a rat.
Are you talking? Or is that what about you guys? You just don't like them?
No,
It's a genetic disability. And,
I just can't keep.
I'm not like for like secret. I don't do that. It was like a little word like that, like the secret. Like I'm thinking more like except for maybe exactly. And maybe like
right there is
I stayed at someone's house that like had canaries in the house.
Try not to get under it.
I was like, I went and got a hotel. They caged the birds or just flew around the house.
Oh,
sorry.
And then it babysat kids once that let their parents
last year.
I have so many nightmares about birds.
I packed your bag so fast.
Come on back, you guys. I'll take you back.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you're the best.
Yeah, just thinking about it.
Come on back, my snacks. Come on back. Come on back.
They got
Okay.
My folks with the rats.
Mine's not a rat.
Sorry, where were we in the back? We don't like rats. I'm with that group. This rat took out half of Europe. I just want to know. Snake people are not happy with snakes. I just want, who's not happy with it? There was a lot of activity.
No personality.
It's a thing. Birds over here, we just, some people either can't, the noise, everything about them, everything. I hear the
Flamingos, penguins, okay, but that's it.
That's it, okay. And then it was maybe not cats, but that cat. Too bad for that cat. All right. Your conversations. And I'll give you a perfect example of this. Heidi, do you like apples?
Yeah.
I like apples. Gayla?
I love Asian beers more than I do love apples.
Cool. Okay. Chris, how do you feel about racial injustice? You hate it? I hate it. I hate it. And you and I would probably, if we got into talking about racial injustice, we'd probably be there a half hour in our own lived experiences and the things we've seen people go through in school systems and in your days of report. Lots to connect with. So this is the same algorithms that they're feeding our babies, and they're feeding you. The bond of your dislikes, the neural wiring about your dislikes is 5 times stronger than your likes. You are doom scrolling to the stuff you hate so that you click on it. 5 to 1. Same thing with our babies. One of my preschool teachers we recently talked to, again, went out to do a trauma training for some of our preschool teachers in the West 40 region. One of the teachers shared with me that she had handed a baby, preschooler of right age to be in preschool, their book, first book. We handed the baby the book and the baby. That's real. There was, had to teach a kid something different on how to engage with the book. So that algorithm is running deep in our kids, right? And it's running deep enough. That conversation with your kids about why they're interacting with the post and what the algorithm is doing. Because it's tricking their nervous system, okay, into scrolling and staying engaged. Oh, I hate that girl.
Yes.
Think about every friend that I made in middle school happened like this. I hate them. Do you hate her? I hate her. Do you hate him? Oh my God. PE? I hate PE. And we all bonded. If you ever had that boss, everybody underneath that boss bonded, right? Oh, and we were in it together. So our generations are on this internet thing, and they're connected, and they're the loneliest generation. Right now, we have 2 serious mental health crises of loneliness in our adolescents and over 65. Both of those generations are finding themselves extremely disconnected, but connected this way. Anybody had this experience? I took my daughter a few years ago to a party. You know, sometimes you gotta sit in on these things, and she's on the phone, texting, right? She's at the time, there's a room full. Sweetheart, we're at Kaylee's party. I know, I'm texting her right now. She's sitting right next to her. They're texting each other, sitting right next to her. It's an easier form of communication. So when we think about what we do in schools, we literally are teaching kids the last frontier of social interaction. My 21-year-old would not know what to do if he was looking to, again, the old days, we would go to a tavern to meet somebody, we would go to church to meet somebody, a synod. We would find a social thing to sort of mingle and say, hey there. You know, especially when I was 21, 22, we did a lot of, hey there. Our 21-year-olds are doing hey there's like this. So they're learning, and again, schools play a really important place in teaching them how to connect. Found this video online, just thinking about kids and the internet. How old do you think that kid was?
12, 6.
12, 8, 6. I have no idea. I don't know who that kid was. I Googled it. Showed me a kid singing. He came up. So a couple of things struck me. One, there's a screen behind him. So either the people that are in his space can't see us when he's recording, or that we can't see what his environment is. There's 2 ways to sort of perceive that. I don't know how old he is. He's young to me. I'm thinking 7, 8, 9, somewhere in there. Do you think his parents know this video exists? Our kids, they're wired into technology and culture, and the culture is technology. How do you get wired back in if you're not sort of comfortable with this or comfortable with this? Maximum engagement. When we post online, who posted a bad picture of themselves recently? Anybody posted that? What? Wait a second. Nobody posted that? Okay, so it creates a culture where we're looking at the best polished versions of each other. I'm just like you guys, I'm a mess. I have my good days, I have my bad days of a human being. But if you look at somebody's social media profile, they don't ever have a bad day. Everybody's perfect. and kids start comparing themselves to what versions are out there. And then, you ever see the kids do you doom scroll? Anybody admit to doom scrolling? I'll admit to it again. Sometimes I just sort of get lost in the scroll. The 5-to-1 ratio of the nervous system isn't designed for that, just at the rate that we do that. So again, 5 negatives. So let's say war crimes, there's abuse of power, something horrible, more horrible, something more horrible that makes you mad. Kittens. Nervous system's not designed for that. So some of that doom scrolling. We've spent some time talking about sort of social media, where we are with kids. Take a few minutes, find that partner next to you. Give me a number, and then we'll talk about why you decided, based on what we've learned today, what number you Me and the tree. What number are you in that tree?
Can you say
based
more
on-
about that? What number are you?
Absolutely. I want you to just sort of take a look at that tree, find yourself in that tree based on what you learned today. Just sort of give yourself a version of what you think your information you're learning would put you at today. Just stretch yourself a little bit. What number are you? Right now I feel like I'm a 2. I'm trying to do my best to support my community and lift us up as we all navigate this thing. Does that help?
I
Okay.
think so, yeah.
Find a number and use. What's your number?
I'm gonna say 10, 11.
Definitely not 14. I don't feel like I'm on top of halfway everything about what I know. I know, it's a lot of
I like I think right now range
either 10 or 11.
dark
Yeah. 2 to
out.
11 is trying to align myself because I don't consider assumptions in the world. And I'm finding that I do have moments where I'm connected with folks.
Yeah.
Did I hear a 10 and 11 in the back? Tell me all about it. Tell us all about your 10 or 11.
Where you're at.
See, I found my partner.
Which
in
was
that.
weird, 'cause, like,
Me and Heidi.
I think like just my job, right? My job is to connect and make connections, and like
But
today I was in like 4 different
Yeah,
meetings,
we got
connecting,
really
making,
big
you know,
sometimes.
supporting, giving resources. So like I'm just there to support.
Partner or not, I love that.
Yeah.
Any other numbers that came out?
I mean, I think I'm 10, 11. I mean, I'm old. My husband and I are retired. We just hang out. I mean, my life's pretty nice. I don't know. I don't know if that's what you're looking for, but I feel like, you know, he and I are together doing what we need to do.
Oh, that's really sweet. And actually, there's no planned anything with this. So, all right, let me give you a sort of a little cheat here. When I was a director of special ed directors make some funky decisions. It's a really weird job. So as a school leader, superintendents' signatures can only sign off on a few things. Their signatures are required. The only signature that is required on some documents that isn't required from the soup is required from the director of special ed, right? One of those sort of heavy decisions is your continuum placement, where kids sort of get serviced. But another one, as you were in school, psych, thank you for letting me share. So another one that we sort of sneak in as directors of special ed is, do we allow our psychologists to do impressions? An impression is a Rorschach blot. I'm getting better if I can. I throw something up and you tell me what you see. Has nothing to do with what's up there. It has everything to do with what's here. these kinds of activities, when we do them with our young people, it gives them a window. It's just, what does that tell you? You're just giving them sort of a window to help them give you a framework on what's on their mind. So we do this a lot with kids, we do this a lot with teachers. By the way, when I was a director of special ed, I did not allow impressions to be done. That was way too clinical, and you'll get some stuff that you may not be prepared for in those kinds of settings. So,
And this could also change every day for you. I mean, you could say like one thing and the next day, hanging by a thread or falling out of a tree.
something like this we do in schools, we'll have something called like a mood meter. And it's just right here in the wall, and we train teachers that when kids come in the morning, they take a little notepad and they just put their name on the mood meter. For your kids, you're familiar with that experience?
Just watching on social media that teachers will do that with their kids.
So we do that, and then because not only is emotions are this, right? Nobody does this all day long. I wish I did this all day long. Most people do this. I do this. So we get to see sort of where kids are, even after lunch, after recess, when a kid comes in. They may have had a bad experience at recess. Happy kid all the time, somebody took his tennis ball and he's upset. When a kid puts his name on sort of the unhappy face, the emoji, it helps me sort of see that. Same kind of tool. How was recess, everyone? Tell me what number recess was. And then all of a sudden you're going to hear, hold on, wait, 16 because 14 pushed me. You'll get all kinds of stuff out of them. In schools, and I ran, and I tried to run my family this way, and we try to talk with teachers, educators, administrators about a restorative practice called the social discipline window. Social discipline allows us to think about how we talk to kids and how we work with our young people in two ways, in both control and support. Anybody ever had a boss that just didn't care and didn't give you any support? I've had one of those. Just didn't show up, didn't care, no support. They were neglectful, right? If you think about a boss you had that was a control freak, but gave you no support, right? We end up in that punitive. And then, again, a boss with not a lot of control, not a lot of need for control, but does it for you. All the time. I've got that. Let me just do it. First of all, I haven't met that boss. I would like to. So our goal is in education and with our family, in my family, is a lot of width. I remember as a young teacher, I had to sort of combat. We had some veteran teachers at our alternative schools that would say this: I'm doing it for him. They did it for him, and the kid left because he was so mad the way you did it and never came back to school. But if you do it with them, how do I bring you into the fold? And I would think about the same thing as a parent. How do I do this with us? Really some things that I want to share with you just that come out naturally from educators. Some tricks and tips that might be helpful to think about. And I'll just spend some time with this, and if I missed a few, you tell me, and I'll take your tips and tricks too. When kids are dysregulated, when they're upset, when their nervous system is ready to pop, when there's so much going on for them, in a classroom setting, we do some things to help reduce that. And it's really hard when you're the parent. I've been to my own child's IEP meetings where I had to be the parent next to my kid and getting services. And you'd think I'd have been really good at that because I sat at the other side of that table, you know, deciding how people. I was a mess. I couldn't think when I was next to my kid. So again, sometimes your teachers and people that work with your kids, they have an advantage. They have a different lens. They get to be seen by your kids differently. But when they are agitated, we think about a couple of things, adjust my language. When I had a kid who would flip a chair, flipping desks, angry, having verbal outbursts, when they went up, I went down. They start screaming and getting really dysregulated and waving their hands. I'm gonna tell you, Mom! My body got really calm. My voice got really calm. Match them with the reverse. Psychologists will tell you at the end of the day, the human being wants to be heard. How do you make another human being feel heard? A couple of tricks that we use in education. What I think I heard you say. And then mirror right back. If you walk away with anything tonight, this is something that helped me be a better husband, a better father, a better teacher, a better parent, a better community member. Somebody shares something with me, and instead of judging it, giving my reflective feedback, advice, which is nothing more than recycled nostalgia. Anyway, so I will just go back and say something like, son, did you just tell me that your day was the most joyful day you've ever had as a paraprofessional? I did nothing but use the exact same words that came out of his mouth. All of a sudden he looks, Dad, you really listened. Just try it, just social experiment today. Somebody shares something with you. I had a really tough day at work and I hate my boss. You know, I heard that you had just a really tough day and your boss is a jerk, huh? Watch what happens when you use their words exactly back. It's just a way to let people feel heard and seen. Give processing time. That's why they tell you their secrets when you're behind the wheel. They already know their pre-programmed strategies to get you to buy some time and breathe, to get your nervous system together. You can't pull that car over. It's going to take you at least 5 seconds to find parking. They're buying some time for themselves. So front load it. We're going to talk about some stuff. I'm sure you're going to share something with me. I'm going to really take that deep breath. My grandma used to say again, I'm not in the school so I can talk religion. My grandma used to say, leave a breath for the Holy Ghost. Just take a breath. Anybody see the famous movie filmed here, Breakfast Club? Do it again, Bender. Say it again. And he said it, remember? That's another Saturday. And another Saturday. In your behavior management with your children and the people that you love, if you threaten them, they'll beat you for the threat, I promise you. I dare you to say it again. Who likes the gauntlet thrown down? I love the gauntlet. Dare me. Kids see that, and again, I would just, the more that you threaten, the more that you give a consequence. Just think of the Breakfast Club. You want another one, Bender? Yeah, that's enough. What happened? In that interaction between the adult and the kid, 2 people just lost their temper, and now a kid's going to sit in detention for 2 months because of one 30-second interaction that didn't go well.
And when a kid says something under their breath, just so you just hear it, and then you turn around and say, what did you say? To invite them to say it louder is also fits.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah, Grandpa had 27 grandchildren. My grandfather had 27 grandchildren. And he swore that in order to raise children, you had to let them think they got away with something every now and again. Just, I would walk the halls of a high school and kids said, that dropped the F-bomb. Am I going to stop every kid in every hallway of every F-bomb That's how the kids talk to each other. It doesn't mean that I can't try to correct some of that behavior, but I gotta pick where my battles are. And I'd rather have them in my class than hate me and the guys in the hallway trying to monitor who they are in their free time. Pictures are your friends. So I love this one. I have that mother-in-law. I just want to be honest, I have her. White glove the whole time, okay? So Grandma was coming over, and my kids, I asked them to clean the basement. Okay, got you, Dad. You guys, come on, you know how Grandma gets with me in the house. Please take care of it. Okay. Grandma comes over, kids, we did it, Dad, see ya. I didn't check the basement, right? There's a sock on the lampshade, water bottle, there's messes everywhere. And of course, as expected, my mother-in-law let me know about it. Fine, big deal. So after that, no more language with my kids. I cleaned that basement spotless, vacuumed, put everything away. And then I put a picture up right by the stairs in the basement. The more words I get into with the kid, the more opportunities that we have to sort of collide. I don't need to do any of that. Hey guys, when it looks like that picture, come on up. Right there. And then all the words are gone from it. Speak less. Again, sometimes we'll get into a power struggle with a kid, and we talk about this with our teachers a lot, right? If you're 5 minutes into having a conversation back and forth that's not going well with a kid, you lost. Point for the kid. They won. So try to disengage from some of that. Try to speak a little bit less as you think. Anybody make a bad decision before they were 25 years old? So the prefrontal cortex is not fully developed until you're about 24, 25 years old. It's right here, a little different for boys and girls. You know, we take longer to cook, us boys. So that's where consequences live. That's where organization lives. That's where task analysis lives. Wait a second, I have no sense of time, and I'm going to do something and I really can't figure out what the consequences are going to be. I have a good friend that says nobody should be held accountable to anything they've ever done before the age of 25. Like, that's when the record should start. 25 years old, your frontal cortex. So we ask kids all the time to do things that their brains aren't prepared to do. Okay? They're in the basement playing video games, and we gotta leave and go home. They gotta say goodbye to all their cousins and all the people they love and everybody they wanna play with, and they gotta go home. Same thing with a classroom. Let me just give you a perfect example of a high school, just for a second. They're walking the hallway, then they have to go sit and do math, and they don't like math. Do you know why kids buy $250 pair of shoes? Well, you guys buy the pair. Do you know why they want them? For a 5-minute passing period. Here's how it goes. What's up, girl? Hey, how you doing? Yeah, everybody. Yeah, got the new kicks on. All right, how you? And then we ask them to go right into a class. They live for a 5-minute passing period. That is their whole life. I got a haircut for a 5-minute passing period. I got an earring for a 5-minute passing period. So then how do we get them to go from that to this? You know how I had you do an activity? I teach teachers how to do activities. Just a really quick 2 minutes, let every voice in the room get some kind of voice so that we can bring them back to engage them. All right. Kids, we have to leave Grandma's house where all your cousins are and you're playing video games and Grandma's feeding you candy and ice cream and telling you can do whatever you want. And when you get home, that's your problem, okay? And then we have to get in my car and drive for an hour while I yell at you about all the stuff you did at Grandma's house. How do I build them at least prefer? I'm going to try to build in transitions as much as possible. So a stop along the way. You have to stop what you're doing, but remember that when we do this next activity, somewhere in here we're going to make something simpler. I'll stop and get ice cream on the way. I want to build the transition in. Secondly, kids don't know transitions in times. Again, that frontal cortex isn't developed. Hey kids, it's time to leave, 5-minute warning. Right? How good do we feel that we gave them a 5-minute warning? They don't know what 5 minutes means. So the warnings are, hey kids, 5-minute warnings, that looks like finishing up your last level of your video game, putting your controllers away, shoes on, and meeting me upstairs. I gotta help them organize time. We do the same thing with teachers in classrooms. As we finish up just our time, I'll give you 5 strategies that we use with communication, if that's okay. Clear and concise, active listening, using your empathetic language, positive language, nonviolent communication. Make those make sense in a second. Clear and concise. Did you ever have that friend who you asked, do ducks fly or do they walk? And, well, that's a great question. So ducks are interesting kind of animals. Sometimes they, you know, ducks are cool. They fly, they walk, they sometimes do a variety of things. Ducks are, there's no meat. There's no clear, concise. Kids want specific, clear, concise directions. So wishy-washy doesn't serve anybody. What time do you want me home? Oh, well, I don't, what time? So you're getting out at 3, maybe 4, how's 4, 5? They want clear and they want punchy. They want direction. They want security and to know exactly what you want from them. For teachers, we say, can you, instead of saying, can you please consider organizing your materials in a different way? Please clean your backpack. Right? It's just, what am I asking you to do? And sometimes we dance around it and we get lost in the dance. Active listening, we talked a little bit about. I'm going to show you, anybody watch The Big Bang? Thank you for joining. I thought I was the only one. So, I'll pull this out in just a really quick second.
How about an SUV? First there was plate.
Halfway through this video, no active listening. And then he gets wise. He says, I need some attention. I need active listening. Just try to think of all the ways she demonstrated active listening.
Station, aka PS1, then there's PS2, PS3, and now PS4. And that makes sense. You'd think after Xbox, there'd be Xbox 2. But no. Next came Xbox 360. And now, after 360, comes Xbox One. Why one? And that's how many seconds of thought they put into naming it. Can you get the butter, please? Yeah, however, with the Xbox One, I can control my entire entertainment system using voice commands. Up until now, I've had to use Leonard. Then get the other one. How's the butter? Hang on. I don't feel like you're taking this dilemma seriously. Fine, Sheldon. You have my undivided attention. Okay, now, the PS4 is more angular and sleek-looking. No way! It's true, but the larger size of the Xbox One may keep it from overheating. You wouldn't want your gaming system to overheat? No, you absolutely would not. And yet, furthermore, the Xbox One now comes with a Kinect included. Included? Yes.